So, hello. Well, as we come out of lockdown, I thought it'd be really good to start interview a couple of businesses that are reopening now the lockdown restrictions have been relaxed. Really pleased to introduce today Lynette and Garry Bannantyne from Viral Entertainment in Corby, and we're going to have a little chat about how they're preparing for reopening. So, well, welcome, guys. First of all,
thank you.
Hiya.
So my first question to you is just tell us a little bit about Viral Entertainment and what you do.
No, thanks for that. So Viral Entertainment, what are we? We are a new form of entertainment which 95% of the people listening to this will have absolutely no idea or comprehension of what virtual reality is. They may think they have an idea, and they may think it's not applicable to them. And my job today, really, as the business creator, is to try and step inside your head and try and twist your arm a little bit to give it a go. It's redefining the cinematic experience. What virtual reality enables people to do is step into computer-generated worlds of their choice and take part in the action. And not only action, but you can take part in viewing history, whether that's stepping back in time and taking part in the moon landings, or stepping back in time and viewing Anne Frank's attic and where she hid away from the Nazis in 3D, full immersion, so you can pick things up, interact with things, listen to it in digital sound. So it's not just for the kids, and this is something we're trying to impress on. Obviously, the gaming element is there, but virtual reality is changing the world around us, whether you see it or not. The games on offer for children and adults are single player, right up to multiplayer, where you can actually take part. So in virtual reality, you can be right next to each other. But in the real world, you can be thousands of miles apart or stood right next to each other as well. And the worlds, the physical world around you is irrelevant, because the virtual world will have objects and interactive guns, bows and arrows, drawers, windows that you can look in, doors you can open. You can walk around. It really, the only way I can describe it is you have to do it, and you have to experience it. And that's what we do. Basically, we have 4 virtual reality experience pods with their own headsets, which you step inside, and we have over 60 different games and experiences. We can do virtual tourism, so you can travel the world on Google Maps and fly around the earth and visit all these different landmarks, go to where you were born, visit the Sydney Opera House, or go to Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah.
Minutes later, you could be stood at the top of the Eiffel Tower. The world's endless when it comes to virtual reality. We also have state-of-the-art full motion virtual reality racing simulators. We have 5 of those. Now, what that enables people to do is actually jump in the racing seat, strap yourself in, and enter a 3D virtual racing environment. So whether you want to race a £250,000 Ferrari or Lamborghini, or you want to race a Formula 1 car on hundreds of tracks from around the world, on hundreds of different cars with full vibration, wind technology, force feedback wheels, full motion platforms, with ultra HD, high definition graphics. We have that as well, and you can do that in multiplayer as well, or you can test your time and beat the clock or whatever you want, and it's great fun again. So these and why did we start virtual reality? Why did we start Viral Entertainment and get into virtual reality? I've always had that entrepreneurial side to me, where I've always wanted to kickstart a business, but I wanted to do it with something which was up and coming. I wanted to catch the wave. I didn't want to open up a coffee shop or something that had been done before. I wanted to kind of, I don't know, want of a better word, ride the crest of a wave all the way from the bottom to the top. Virtual reality, where it is today, if I can use an analogy, it's probably Atari technology when it comes to computing technology, So if you think about where computer games are today compared to where they were 40 years ago,
oh yeah,
where virtual reality will be in 40 years' time will be like stepping inside the Matrix. If I try and paint the picture of the famous movie. And our job is to try and stay current. We've just ordered 4 state-of-the-art high performance PCs to replace the gaming PCs that we have in the experience pods, which will push our graphical processing power right up. And we've also purchased 4 new Vive Pro 2 headsets at considerable cost. And this is just to keep on the cutting edge of the technology, so we can give people the best experience that they probably most wouldn't or be able to afford at home.
So Garry, the technology you've got, it sounds to me like it's not just the headset, which you can do with your, at home actually, can't you, with your PS2 or your Xbox or whatever it is these days. But actually it's taken it a step further because it's actually giving you the physical feeling, physical environment as well.
Yeah, so I mean, people have the PlayStation headset that was brought out. Actually, I, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions within the industry, actually damaged the industry a little bit, because PlayStation is such a household name, and it has, the A-star rating. People see it as, a top quality system, which it is. So people assume that the PlayStation virtual reality headset is the best that you can get. And you could not be further away from the truth of that. Yeah, the headsets that we have, we've had people come in, and I often ask, have you tried virtual reality before? And a lot of people will say, not a lot, but talking 40%, so 2 out of 5 will turn around and they'll say, I've tried PlayStation. And I'll smile and I'll say, okay, so try your headsets, and when you come out, I'll ask you what you thought. And after they've been in for an hour, they'll come out and I'll ask them, what did you think? And they are normally speechless. So, and then I'll say, what do you think compared to the PlayStation? Now, normally I ask them to score the PlayStation out of 10 before they go in, and they'll give it a score of 8 or 9 out of 10. And then when they come out, I'll ask them, what do you think compared to the PlayStation? And they say there is no comparison. The PlayStation is okay, but it is very much just a home product, whereas the systems that we're using, in order to get the immersion, the freedom of movement, the full high definition experience, and also the headset, what's called field of view. So when you're within the headset, the technology that PlayStation has gives you what's called a letterbox effect. So effectively, it's like playing the computer game in 3D whilst looking through a letterbox. That's what the PlayStation gives you. And that's because the field of view is only 90 degrees. Now, your natural peripheral vision goes up to 180 degrees. And then people's normal field of view is roughly 120. So you can see up to 180, but you don't really take it in. But your field of view in front of you is 120 degrees. Well, the PlayStation only gives you 90 degrees of that 120. So when you use our headsets, you're up to 110 degrees. And then the new headsets that we're getting are the full 120. So there's the screen, the letterbox effect is almost eradicated.
Yeah, cool. Wow. That's actually, I'm looking forward to trying this. I'm guessing in your business you have a lot of regular customers as well.
It's been because we've been in and out of lockdown and things like that. It's been hard to keep regular customers, but we do have. We're looking at probably about 20% of our business, and for such a new business, because we have only been open just over a year, probably about 20-25% of our customers are returning customers, which is great for just the new business, but also bearing in mind we've probably been closed 7 or 8 months of that first year. So we have a lot of regular customers that do come in and that are excited for us opening back up, and stuff like that. So and it's only going to get bigger and better, and we're going to get stronger as well. So and we know that our regular customers that were with us before will be with us on our return as well.
So have you been able to reopen at all since COVID?
So we were, because we're in the entertainment industry, we're kind of like the first to close and the last to open. So we actually chose to close last March, about 2 weeks before the government said that we had to, purely because business was so quiet, and plus our customers mean that much to us that we didn't want to put them at risk, because when you're getting in and out of headsets and that sort of thing, you know, obviously there's a lot of close contact and things. So we actually closed around about I think it was around the 16th of March. Then we reopened it on the 4th of July. So we were able to open them. And then we were open then until the November. So we were open for that stint. But the thing is, in our industry, though, it's not like, for example, the pubs open and everybody floods back in. For us, we have to build that again. And that every time we've come out of lockdown, that could take us 2 months to build back to where we were at, to get people to trust us that actually, you know, we're safe, it's very clean, and things like that. And we want them to come back through the door. So by the time we get them back through the door, then they you're then going back into a lockdown. So then you have to start again. So every time we open, we have to build our place up again, you know, and that has been really trying for us, you know. But every time we close and we open back up with something new. So it's like, right, you know, because after we didn't put the racing simulators in until September. So when we opened back up in the July, we built that up, you know. We're saying to people these are coming and everything, and by the time they were installed it was around September time. So we haven't had a great chance to really build the racing simulators yet, because obviously we had between September and November, and then we were closed that November, and then we had December, but even then December wasn't very busy, and then we had that month to try and build it up again, and then we closed in the January, and we've been closed ever since then. So
what do you do to promote the business then? How do you build it up again after each lockdown?
So I run our Facebook page. Instagram is something that we're going to start using more of as well, because we know a lot of the children tend to use a lot of Instagram rather than Facebook and things like that. So that's how we tend to do it more. We have done some adverts on Corby Radio and stuff, but for us it's very much word of mouth. We sit at number 1 on TripAdvisor, and we hit number 1 for fun and fun things to do in Corby within 9 weeks of opening, which was really but we push it. And for us, if you look at a lot of our reviews, it's all about customer service. So people see that, and they see that we have a real good customer service. And so TripAdvisor is also another thing for us. And then we have our website. So we've just launched a brand new website, which Ununbox have done for us. And it's brilliant. It's amazing. And it's got everything on there that you need to know about virtual reality. Our website before was very basic. It didn't really give you an insight into what we do. But, you know, now when you look at our website, you can almost visualize what it's like to walk into that place before you've got there, because, you know, because it is so new, a lot of people are afraid to ask, what is it? You know, what is it that you do? So our website tells them. So we don't want to get away from where our website tells them that much that we lose that personal touch of talking to the customers, because for us, that's really, really important, that, you know, we always engage with our customers, and we don't have one customer that's left this place without speaking to them before they leave and making sure that they've had a really good time here at Viral. That's massively important to us, you know. And there's been, again, looking at the customer service, you know, we have some children that come in that have got autism, so they might need that bit more one-to-one and things. So we always designate one of our team to stay with that child or adult, you know, for that duration of their time, to make sure that actually they're okay in there, and that if they need any help, they don't have to be afraid to ask for it. So customer service for us is what gets us through, because people come back because of what we offer.
Yeah, and I think you got some great things you're doing in there as well, because obviously you talked in there, great customer service, obviously really important for your sort of business. Secondly, about marketing on and actually social media marketing, which I think for I'm guessing, I was going to ask you about your audience in a second as well, see who comes, but also it's checking with people that they've had a great time, because the best time to fix it, of course, is when you're talking to them in the store. So some great advice you've got in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's one of my big things. When I opened up the shop, I actually wanted to put some vinyl on the wall and just ask customers, you know, do not leave this place not having had a good time or speaking to somebody, because, you know, I'm a big believer that, you know, if somebody's paying good money to come in here and have a good time, they should have a good time. You can't please everybody all the time. You know, I'm not you know, it's impossible to do that. But you can't stop me trying. I mean, I'll try my best. If we do work with technology, sometimes technology doesn't want to play balls. So sometimes we have to, you know, extend the time that people are booked in for. If we can't do that because we've got other people stacked up, then we'll always try and give back vouchers, or, you know, money back, or, you know, free drink, or something to try and appease the customers and keep them happy. But most people are understanding, and thankfully, you know, touch wood, we don't often have a lot of technical problems, to be honest with you, that we can't solve very quickly. You know, we've got over nearly 300 reviews in total online, whether that's Google, Facebook, or TripAdvisor, and you know, Google, we have a 5 out of 5 rating. Facebook, we have a 5 out of 5 star rating, and TripAdvisor, we have all but 2 reviews are 5 star. So you know, we're singing and dancing in terms of reviews. We just have to get people to be aware. You know, come back, and I don't see it being a problem. It'll just take a little bit of time again, just to build it back up without another national lockdown getting in the way.
And I think we've set our standards so high, like really, really high. And if we fall short, then the customer's still going to have a great experience. But if we set a good standard and we fall short, they're going to get a mediocre standard, you know. So the higher we set it, and if something does happen and it does fall a little bit short, they're still going to have a really, really good time. And, you know, and all to be honest, you know, we've got a very young team, kids that are doing A levels and things like that. Then obviously we've got our own children that are involved in it as well. But again, you think teenagers sometimes can be a little bit lazy. Not when they're here. They, you know, they work. They do work. They work hard. Our kids are probably a little bit lazier than the others, to be honest, but that's because they're ours. But the other couple of staff that we have do work very, very hard when they're in here, you know, making sure. And it's hard to find people that are as passionate about your industry as you. But one thing I can say is that they are very, very passionate about VR. If we ever have any quiet times, we say to them, you know, go in, we challenge them and say, you can go in a headset and do some VR, but I want you to do something that you haven't done before, because it's important that if there is a customer in a headset, that actually the staff can guide them through if they're not sure what they're doing. Whereas if they haven't played it, then that becomes tricky, you know, and then the customer then becomes frustrated. But so we always challenge our staff, as much as they have good fun in VR, we challenge them to do something different every time they go in there. So I
think what I'd like to add as well is that, you know, what the really good thing about virtual reality as an entertainment product is very much like the cinema. What I mean by that is when people go for a night out as a group or as a couple or whatever, they want something different. They want to try and be stimulated by something different. And what I mean by that is if they go 10-pin bowling, if you go 10-pin bowling, you'll have a good time. But if you go back to 10-pin bowling, you're going back to do the same thing you did before. If you take the kids to the trampoline park and you take them back to the trampoline park, they're going to go back and do the same thing that they did before. Why this is so much like cinema is because often when you go to the cinema, when you go back, what you do and what you watch is totally different to what you watched before.
Yeah.
And when you come to viral entertainment, you take part in VR, virtual reality, the experience game that you do will be different if you want it to be every single time that you come back.
Yeah.
You don't have to play the same different game, because by the time you walk out them doors having had a great time, by the time you book back in, I can almost 100% guarantee you that the technology will probably have improved, meaning more immersion, more realistic, better graphics. But also new games are being released all the time, new experiences are being released all the time. I'll tell you a story about a Chelsea pensioner in London. And he was asked if he wanted to do a D-Day experience because he had taken part in D-Day and he had lost friends, obviously. He was put into virtual reality and he was given a 10-minute D-Day experience, taking him back to the beaches of Normandy. And when he came out of virtual reality, he actually had tears in his eyes and he said it was so realistic. And he actually thanked the man who had given him that chance to go back there and see what the experience was like, just to remind him and take him back there, which must have been harrowing. But sometimes a lot of these people want closure. I mean, virtual reality as a technology, this might sound a bit freaky, a bit creepy maybe, but each to their own. There was a woman in South Korea who had lost her son, and tragically, instantly, I think it was a car accident, and she always regretted that she never got a chance to say goodbye. And a virtual reality company in South Korea actually used computer imaging technology to recreate her son in virtual reality, where she got to say goodbye to him in 3D. Which gave her closure. Yeah, but
it's a bit freaky. That's the part of VR that freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, but if you use it, it sounds to me it's got to be one of those things you use really careful. Grief counselling and everything. You couldn't just go in and do it, but if you did it correctly,
and talking about counselling. And talking about counselling, it's been used in the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder, which is something close to my heart, having served in Afghanistan. Back on Op 5 in 2006, I lost a good friend. So, the technology, you're not throwing people in games and exploding bombs next to them. That's not the idea. But the idea is that the technology is changing the world all around us. I want to be part of that. And the easiest and quickest way to get into it was in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So, who's your typical customer then? Because I'm sort of guessing around this a bit, because I started off thinking it would be the real gaming people. Then I thought, no, this is family, and then I thought, no, actually, this is adults. Who is your typical customer?
I am not messing around here. It can be anyone. We've had everyone in the headset from 7 years old, and the only reason being, I wouldn't put anybody younger than 7 in, because at 7 years old they kind of get the fact it's not real. Does that make sense? So anybody younger than that, you could turn their head to marshmallow, and that's not what we want. But we've also had 80 plus in the headset, and they've had a great time. We've had kids normally come in as groups for parties and stuff. Obviously that's going to click the light bulb in people's heads, and you're absolutely right. That is, 70% of, the people that are coming in. However, we have had stag parties in between lockdowns before the rule of 6 came in. We were actually booked in for 10 lads for a stag party. They came in, they took part in a 10-man Grand Prix with 2 heats of 5, and then they had a final, and then the winner got a prize, a trophy, and the others got medals, and they all had drinks and had a good time. And then they had a punch up in virtual reality, taking part with Rocky and fighting each other in virtual reality. They had an amazing time. We've also had an over 60s club adventure group come in who booked in, and they absolutely loved it. They were a bit slow at first, a little bit trepidous. They didn't really know, blah, blah. By the end of the 3 hours, they were running about, shooting each other with laser guns and diving on the floor and laughing and joking. They were absolutely loving it. Cool. So when I say anyone, I mean that. And that's the barriers we need to knock down, these cliches that, it's just for kids. Nonsense. I totally disagree. I would challenge anybody to come in here, put yourself in my hands for an hour, and not leave with a smile on your face.
We've also had a couple of groups that have got so they have adults with learning difficulties. So some of them don't really communicate. So we have experiences like experiencing what it's like to go under the ocean, to see all the fish, to see a shipwreck, all that sort of stuff. So they don't have to do anything with the controllers or push buttons. It's like being in the cinema, but it's like that they're there. And although they can't communicate as such, you can tell from their expressions how much they love it, because they're able to get involved. We've also last year there's a Corby lad that has terminal cancer that lost his leg. So he was in a wheelchair and he just wanted to do some boxing, but obviously it being in a wheelchair, it's really difficult. So we invited him and his family in for, every so often we tend to give something back to the community. So we invited them in for a free session, and they went in, they done boxing and all sorts of stuff. And he's in a wheelchair, but he didn't feel like he was any different to anybody else. He could still do what everybody was doing. So as much as the fun side of it, in the fact you've got all the kids coming in that love gaming and things, there are the other aspects of, allowing people to be able to come in when they couldn't, the lad in a wheelchair couldn't go to the trampoline park and things like that, so that they can get involved. So that's important to us as well, rather than just getting the people in for gaming. It's what can we do to help others as well.
Yeah, I'd say, and it's getting into that. It's not just the games is the point, isn't it? There's more than games that VR is useful for. So having been in lockdown and with COVID and coming out and having to reopen, what are you having to do differently now that you wouldn't have done before?
So obviously for us, being a really, really new business and looking at risk assessments and things was really, really difficult. But there's a company called, you've probably heard of them, Bright Trees, I think they're called.
Bright Kids.
No, not that one. I'm sure it's called Bright Trees Consultancy or something like that. Anyway, they helped us with our risk assessment. So it's really difficult. So it was all done over Zoom, and we explained to them exactly what our procedure was. So they kind of put together a really, really good risk assessment for us. But in our headsets, you have leather inserts. Now, obviously, we always cleaned those down anyway in between different customers. But what we actually done was we invested in like a machine that you can kind of like shrink wrap things and stuff, and we have lots of different leather inserts. So in between each customer, they get taken out, all the headsets get wiped down, all these get thoroughly antibacterial wiped down, everything cleaned, and then they get resealed, and then the next person that comes in, so usually they're in circulation about every 2 days, then the next person that comes in will get that. So they're the only person that's touched that once it's been cleaned, because we use tongs and all that sort of stuff. So we done that, and that'll be something that we continue doing, because I think it's important anyway. So that was probably one of the biggest changes that we put in place. Also, we have 4 sanitizing stations throughout the centre. So, you know, if people are coming in and out and switching, you know, just basic hand sanitising. Obviously, the staff, when they're out there all the time as well, is continually hand sanitising. So, and then at the front door as you come in, again, we have a hand sanitising station, and then our certificates to say that we are COVID safe, and things like that. Obviously, we have to wear our face masks, but what we done was we invested in the plastic clear ones for our staff. One, because they don't feel as restricted, but also we do have a couple of guys that come in that are deaf. So they rely on lip reading. They lip read all the time. So when obviously our mouths are covered, they can't lip read us. So that was a real challenge. So we bought those purely for that reason, so that they could still see what we were doing, but we were all protected from that as well. So I would say that's probably our biggest things. But again, we will just continue to do that even as we come out of lockdown, because you know, we just, for us, like I said at the beginning, you know, making our customers safe is the biggest thing to us. That, you know, there's a lot of VR centres out there that haven't put in anywhere near the measures that we have. But yes, it's cost us more to do it, but our customers will never forget what you've done when times were hard, and how safe you made them. And again, that's that customer service coming in, that, you know, it's important to us that they are safe. So yeah.
And it's making people feel safe to come back into your premises as well,
Absolutely,
which is so key with what you do as well, isn't it? I mean, it sounds, nothing to worry about.
Well, there was actually one lady that came in and she said, I don't let my kids go anywhere. She said, but I would absolutely let them come here. And that meant a lot, because in the height of a pandemic, and you're like, I've been so safe and my kids can't go anywhere, but actually looking around and seeing how well your procedure is, I wouldn't have any issues with my children coming here. So that meant a lot to us as a business.
So I'm booked in for a couple of weeks' time, so I'm very looking forward to it. How do people, so obviously, where are you located, and how do people contact you to book in?
So we are located in Corby Town Centre itself, opposite Corby Indoor Market, or a good landmark is the Saxon Crown Pub. Everybody seems to know where that is. So if you come up from the Saxon Crown Pub and round by the British Heart Furniture Shop, we're right next door to them. So we are easy to find, and, you know, obviously we've got vinyl all over our windows and that sort of thing. Telephone, a lot of people call us, by phone, which is 07944 531 243, and also our amazing All Singing and Dancing website, which is huge as well. And again, we get some Facebook messages of people wanting to book in, so that's also a way of booking in as well. So there's a couple of ways to do it. So you can do it online, over the phone, through social media. So and our Facebook page is basically Viral Entertainment. So it's as simple as that. So yeah.
Excellent. So Lynette, Garry, it's been great talking to you today. Thank you for making the time. Really looking forward to coming down and trying out some of the equipment you've got there. So yeah, Lynette, Garry from Viral Entertainment in Corby, thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem. Great speaking.
Cheers.
Thank you.